So for the next few videos, if you hear a lot of crap going on in the background, it's because road construction started just outside my window, and there is a metric butt wagon of equipment going back and forth. So if you hear some engine noises, if you hear some backup noises of trucks going on, drills, that kind of crap, might even be in the Let's Plays too, although hopefully the game audio can overshadow some of that. You'll know why. I'm not doing a construction project in my recording space. It's just proxy to what's going on out there because I think they're adding in a sidewalk or fixing up the streets. Actually, you know what? It might be both, but that's not the point of this video. In my experience, you may agree, you may disagree, nothing good ever comes out of water. In games, well, and in some cases in real life. I mean, the ocean is just this giant liquidy box of fuck off. There's so many things in there that want to kill you or eat you, or just don't like you. You can't breathe under there. You go too deep, there's pressure that'll crush you. There's things in there that you can't even see that can mess you up. It's salty as heck. You can't drink it. Everything about it is just no. I mean, sure, it's fun to swim in, and surfing's a heck of a lot of fun, but I don't know if it's worth it. There's too many things in there, and sharks, give it up. No. And although I'm not I don't have a phobia of water, I don't really like it all that much. Don't get me wrong. I like drinking water. H2O is my jam for sure. I mean, I think the three main things I drink are water, coffee, and Guinness. And that's pretty much it. And I don't know, maybe sometimes coffee and espresso. But that's really just a stronger offshoot of coffee. You see my point. Water. It's just something that I'm not keen on, especially if I can't see through it. And funny enough, even though it doesn't bother me a whole lot in real life, I can ignore it. In video games, hate it. Absolutely hate it. Nothing makes me more anxious, nervous, and on edge than water in a level. Which, I mean, funny enough, BioShock, that game was, I loved BioShock 1 and 2. But man, any parts where I was actually out in the ocean, I was on edge the entire time because I was worried something was going to come out of the deep, dark depths and drag me screaming into the abyss. It bugged the hell out of me. I was constantly looking up and around. I'm like, okay, I know when I came down here in the submersible, I saw whales, I saw giant squid. Well, whales are cool, but there were sharks. There's a lot of stuff down here that I don't really like, and I don't want to get too close to. And I know very well that it's got way more mobility than I do. That's the other thing. You can't move quickly in the ocean. Everything that lives there is designed to be there. It's faster than you, it's nastier than you, and it can mess you up in so many ways. Punch a shark? You kidding? Things like a torpedo with teeth. Screw that. Anyway. So yeah, in games, it just freaks me right out. Some prime examples. Okay. Speaking of sharks, Resident Evil. Plenty of you who have played Resident Evil, I'm hoping if you've played the Resident Evil series, you've played the first one. Maybe not like the very, very first game, but HD remakes, whatever. Doesn't matter. There is a part in that game that is a water level. I mean, there are a couple semi-submersed areas, but the one in particular I'm thinking of is the one with Neptune, because it's this sort of aquatic research wing, and there are sharks all throughout that level. But in particular, the boss you're dealing with in that level is a giant, make Jaws look like a minnow-sized shark called Neptune. He's scary as hell. He's a giant, mutated shark. Why would you ever want to deal with that? I'm perfectly honest. If I was a member of STARS and they're just we need to go into this one level of the area to activate this or turn on the generator so that we can get into this area, it's partially flooded and it was their aquatics research division, so there's frogmen and sharks. I'd be like, no. Well, you're the only one who can, you're in that area. It would take us too long to get there. Things may be out of hand. Well, then I guess we're screwed, aren't we? I'm not going in there. Look, I'll deal with giant spiders. I'll deal with giant snakes. Zombies, fine. Dogs, no. Well, I'm not too keen on zombie dogs, but fine. Tyrants, sure. I don't care. Lickers, they're gross and their tongue can kill you, but sure. But I'm not going to go into the water level. No. And I'll tell you what'll ease my conscience. How about we run some copper wiring in there and pump a couple thousand volts into it, which Now that I think about it, it actually might have been how you dealt with Neptune. It's been a long time since I played the game. But no. Like, we are flash frying everything in there. And I'm not saying, like, oh, we'll turn it on once and that'll be good. No. We're going to let that thing run for a solid 3 minutes. I want to be damn sure everything is cooked to a crisp. I want it to smell like a seafood buffet. Ugh, hated that level so much. But funny enough, that kind of fear came up again in 2 other Resident Evil games, 2 that I really enjoy. First one, Resident Evil 4. Love that game top to bottom. Lots of fun, especially when you play through it on New Game Plus, because you got that laser gun that just flash fries everything. But I can't even remember why. But for some reason, you have to row out into the middle of a lake. I don't recall what... Wait, no, hold on. I'm remembering this, because again, it's been a while since I played Resident Evil 4 as well. Okay, I think you're on a cliff, and you have to look out onto the lake with your binoculars. And if I remember correctly, you see the villagers taking the bodies of the police that you arrived at the village with at the beginning of the game, dumping them into the lake, and then something large coming up and dragging the bodies down. And it turns out to be like, I think, a giant salamander with the Las Plagas parasite in it. But then you row out into the middle of a lake and you kill it with harpoons. Why, I don't know. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, wait, maybe you had to go out there to get something. I don't even think you got anything out of that fight except maybe a little bit of money. But if I remember right, you go out, you stir the thing up just by rowing out there. It tries to kill you, and then you just row back to the shore after it's dead. Like, I don't think there was any reason to actually go out there. You could have ignored that altogether and just gone on your way. It's like Leon just rowed out into the middle of the lake to mess with it and then left. Why the hell did he do that? Why did I do that? Well, I mean, I had to do it to get through the rest of the game, but it really served no purpose. I actually have to go back and play that now. I really think that was a pointless boss battle. Just put me out in the middle of a lake and made me uncomfortable for no good reason. I'm a little annoyed. Anyway, the next one was another Resident Evil game called Resident Evil Outbreak, and I believe it was, File 1. File 1. There are plenty of water or partially submerged levels in that game, but I mean, the one that jumps out at me in particular is not actually a water level in and of itself. It's just a path area you cross through to get to another section of the map. And I think it's near the end where you're either going through the city or through the university. I think it might be like chapter 4 or 5. It's at a point near the end of the game where you have to collect a few ingredients, or just before you have to collect some ingredients to create an antidote, because for those of you who haven't played the Outbreak series, in File 1 at least, the entire way through the game up until the end, you're infected with the T virus. And it's kind of like a time limit on every level you're in that you have to get out before it hits 100%, because if you do, you die. And the funny part is, if you die or one of your teammates die, they will come back as a zombie and they will start attacking you. If you get hit, if you get injured, if enemies hit you with certain attacks, it can increase your infection level or increase the infection rate. And throughout the levels, you can find little herbs or pills that can either slow it down or stop it for a certain amount of time and give you, a little bit more time to do what you need to do, find more equipment, find more ammo, find the key you need to open the door. You get the idea. But there's one level, I'm pretty sure it was either in the final level where you're making the antidote or just before you get in the university to do that, where you have to cross this little sort of like boardwalk pier area down near a couple boats in a marina. And it looks unassuming enough, but if you're watching carefully, you can see a couple fins just crisscrossing in the water. And then when you walk across the friggin' boardwalk, boom, mutated hammerhead sharks. Why the hell there were hammerhead sharks in the Bay of Raccoon City, I don't know. But they come flying out and they will just spear your character into the water. Or sometimes actually I think if they miss you, they'll just land on the deck for a little bit and thrash around. But if you get knocked into that water, you're dead. You're instantly killed. You are just fucked. They swarm you and you're done. And I remember this because in that game, you have a 4-man party. One of them is you and the other ones could be other people, because there was multiplayer on the PS2, and this is one of the games that featured it. Or they would just be controlled by the computer. So I was playing as, who is my favorite character? Right, the police officer, Kevin, because he's got a big piss-off magnum and the most useful and simple ability in the game. He can kick forward, which really doesn't do any damage, but it keeps things back and stumbles them, and that is so useful. But anyway, The character in front of me, I think, was the barmaid, and she can just mix up herbs. Either way, running along conga style, she's in front of me. And as we're going along the boardwalk, because I'm just following them at this point, because they seem to know where they're going, a shark just freaking upper decks her, takes her off into the water, and she's dead. Instantly. Couldn't save her. Nothing we could do. She was gone. And I'm like, whoa, okay. No, we're getting off of this. Even if there was a chance to save her, probably like, you're on your own. Here's a gun. Have fun. I was not hanging around for that because like, if one took her out, what are the chances that the other might just, take a cue and start picking us off the same way? Not having any piece of that at all. So, if you ever play Operation Raccoon City. No, wait. That's a different game. Resident Evil Outbreak. Operation Raccoon City was the one about the umbrella team. I'm getting my games mixed up here. Yeah, watch out for that. Just watch out for water in general. And my final example, because this one is running a bit long, but I had 3 or 4, whatever, is from Shadow of the Colossus. One of my favorite games, a beautiful game, musically, stylistically, gameplay. The whole thing was a very nice game. But there was one boss in particular that I hate. Not because he was difficult. I don't even know if they have genders, but whatever. Not because he was difficult. Not because he was particularly dickish, had like some stupid one-hit move that would just screw you over right when you were about to beat him. It was where he was. And I can't recall which number Colossus this boss was. But anyway, there's one where you have to go down a spiral staircase. It's in a small canyon that is filled with water. It's a deep, I guess, pond or well. I'm not exactly sure. It was huge, though, but it was contained within a canyon. And it's deep, and it's dark, and you can't see exactly how far it goes, and you can't see what's in it, except once you start going down this spiral staircase, and you look down into this deep pool, and at the bottom, all you can see are several faint, glowing, electrical, fizzling lights. And at this end of this trail, because it sort of snakes along the bottom, you can see 2 glowing eyes looking up at you. I didn't want any part of that. I was trying everything I could to try to get its attention without actually going into the water. I was shooting arrows. I was like tinging my sword off of rocks. I was whistling. I was yelling. I would jump in the water, then jump out. No. The way you activate this boss fight, just even better for what I don't like about water in games, you have to swim out into the middle of this pond or pool or whatever the hell it is. And you've activated him because it cuts to a cinematic where the camera is looking at you, Jaws style, with your feet just dangling as you're keeping treading water from the bottom of this pool. And then you see this giant snake body go zipping past the camera and come straight up at you. I hated that boss fight. It was easy. It wasn't hard at all. But the process of walking towards him, activating him, and then having to just dangle helplessly in the water during the cinematic just shot my nerves. I hated that. It's like, of all the bosses in all the world, I had to fight you. And again, the guy's a freaking pussycat. He's not hard to beat at all. But if you're someone like me who doesn't like water for those very reasons in games, those are just a couple examples of scenarios that will annoy you, terrify you, freak you out, and just put you on edge. And I'd be interested to hear if you feel the same way, if it doesn't bother you at all, or if there are other things in games that freak you out. Maybe you get claustrophobic in first-person shooters. Maybe the darkness bothers you in games, but not in real life. Maybe fire is something that kind of sets you off, Frankenstein style. But again, in games, maybe in real life too. Maybe it's in both. Maybe you just can't get away from that innate fear. Whatever it is, I'd be very curious to hear what your thoughts are on it and what your own sort of equivalent fears are. In any case, hope you guys enjoyed this one. And as always, I'm Rye. You take care of yourselves.